The area ranking for Mario and Luigi Partners in Time. I made this video a year ago, and that's just so ridiculous to think about. I've gotten so much better as a YouTuber and a content creator, and I really want to remake that video. I agree with some of the choices there, and I do get the reasoning. It's not the worst video on my channel, which is nice, but it's the first video on my channel. I might as well remake it. My opinion has changed a decent amount, but I am going to change the entries a tiny bit. I'm not going to be including Princess Peach's castle on the list. I just don't think that really fits. But I am going to be separating Star Hill and Star Shrine from each other because at the end of the day, they are actually two separate locations. I have no idea why I combined them. It was obviously going to shoot to the top if I combined them. So separating them is definitely the good thing to do here. And 16 entries is a lot, so I'm not really going to hold you guys back anymore. Let's get started. But actually, before we get started, I'm trying to hit 3,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I'd really appreciate if you subscribe. And also, since this is a really important video, let's try to hit 150 likes. That is a big like goal, but you know what? We're going to try it. So make sure to like the video. I'd really appreciate that. But other than that, let's actually get started on this video. Holly Jolly Village, even if I like the tutorials or not, is at the bottom of the list because there's just nothing here. I mean, there's 3 sections to this place, but every single one doesn't really do anything for me. The first section is the grassland, where it teaches you how to jump, which is kind of stupid, but I don't really hate the tutorials there anymore. They're just kind of there, but there's nothing else in the grassland. It's just those tutorials, so in that regard, it doesn't work. But also, there's the Mushroom Place. The Mushroom Place has battles with very basic enemies. It's just teaching you how to battle, which, fair enough, it works for what it's trying to be. It's still basic, though, so I don't really care about it. But then Holly Jolly Village itself. This place, it works for what it's trying to be. It's trying to show a village that is destroyed by the Shroobs. And then there's the Forest Lost fight, which is handled fine enough. But I kind of just wish that there was more to this place. I think the music is good, and that's probably the best part about this place. But that's it. But my biggest gripe with it is that you can actually come back to Holly Jolly Village after you beat Vim Factory. You get a time hole access to it. But there's nothing here. There's not even any beans here, which is just really stupid. I know there was a toad that said that there was a monster on the other side. Yeah, I don't think those little Shroobs that look like Goombas are very big monsters. So, I really wish there was an optional boss that was actually there. That would have made Holly Jolly Village a bit more interesting. But no, since there's literally nothing at Holly Jolly Village, it definitely deserves to be at the bottom of the list. Baby Bowser's Castle. So my opinion of this place has just gotten worse and worse and worse over time because of the 2 problems that I have with this place just grew, and they're extremely noticeable on my latest playthrough. So it definitely deserves to be this low. And I was tempted to put it under Holly Jolly Village, but at least this place has puzzles and enemies that are decent. So that's a good thing at least. But the 2 problems, they're there. The first problem I have with this place is that the music is not very good. I really don't like it. It sounds terrible in my opinion, and it's not even memorable, which is definitely a bit disappointing. And also, the other thing is that the tutorials here actually suck compared to Holly Jolly Village because they're very long. They're very long tutorials, which is not a good thing. I'd rather have a short tutorial that is pointless than a tutorial that is needed but very long. So because of this, I actually think the tutorials here are worse than the one in Holly Jolly Village, which is not a good thing at all. But again, at the very least, this place does have decent enemies and some platforming, so I guess it's definitely a bit better, but it was very close, and it definitely deserves to be this low on the list. The Shroob Mothership. So at the end of the day, this place isn't bad for the reason that I mentioned before. So I said that the reason I dislike this place is that you can never come back to it. That's not really that bad of a complaint. The main complaint I have now and why it's still low on the list is because all I really think about is just the stupid Guardian Shroobs. That's all I really think about with this place. I'll talk about the good things before I talk about Guardian Shroobs. This is the Shroob mothership itself. You're exploring it, which is kind of cool. And the story elements that happen here are good, with Kylie Koopa and Princess Peach actually revealing that it's just Princess Shroob. Those are some good stuff. But the gameplay itself here is not very good. Again, all you're really doing here is just fighting Guardian Shroobs. And Guardian Shroobs aren't even that interesting of enemies. They're just faster Shroobs compared to stuff like Dr. Shroobs and the light blue Shroobs in Yoop's belly. They're not actually interesting enemies. And in that regard, it's not very good. And you might be mentioning the flying block invisible puzzle. That doesn't make sense grammar-wise, but you get what I'm talking about. Well, to be honest, that's not the first thing that I think of, which isn't a very good thing. And I don't even think that puzzle is that interesting to begin with. It's not a bad puzzle, obviously, but it's not something I think of, and it's not even that interesting, so it doesn't save this place to me at all. And this is why it's number 14. I think there just needs to be more interesting gameplay stuff happening in the Shroob Mothership, and if that stuff was there, it definitely would be higher on the list, but since it isn't, it's at number 14. Toadwood Forest. You see the footage, all you're doing is waiting. This place has a ton of puzzles where the babies control the direction of this slow platform and all the bros do is wait. That's it. You can collect item blocks that are on your path, but that's it. There's nothing really good to get. So it's pretty pointless, and the platform is extremely slow. This is my biggest problem with Toadwood Forest. The first part of it is actually decent too. My favorite part is that you gather these fire things and you collect them into one, and then you shoot it at trees and you burn them down to actually go further into the place. I think that's pretty creative. But after that, you have to deal with this stupid waiting puzzle that isn't fun at all. It's pretty irritating too. I have no idea why there's this puzzle here 3 separate times. It just doesn't make sense, and I really don't like it. It's why it's so low on this list, and that's really the only problem I have with this place. The enemies are fine. Obviously, the first part is good. Totoko dying was definitely something interesting, and the Shroobs actually seeing you, attacking you, again, was also interesting. But at the end of the day, there's nothing else about this place. The first thing that I think of about this place is waiting, and that is not a very good thing, and it's why it's so dang low on this list. Gritzy Desert. So Gritzy Desert is not a bad location. We're on to the fine locations now, in Partners in Time, but to be honest, nothing really does anything for me in Gritzy Desert. There's not really anything that stands out. People might be mentioning the music. The music for me isn't bad, but it's just not something I care about. I like Swamp Volcano and Toad Town for their themes better than this place. To be honest, if people didn't mention the theme being so good, I would not remember it at all. So it kind of shows that there really isn't anything that stands out. There's really only one thing I do want to point out, and it's really the only negative I have with this place. For me personally, I like killing every single enemy with both the babies and the bros in this game. Now, you can do it in Gritzy Desert. It's just kind of a pain, and I did this on my latest playthrough. But before, I actually didn't like Gritzy Desert because I separated the babies and the bros, and I killed some enemies with the babies and some enemies with the bros. That's why I didn't like Gritzy Desert originally, but now, since I did it with both the babies and the bros, it's not that bad. It's bad. Like, I don't really think it's a good idea to have it this way, but it's not the worst thing in the world, so it's not really a big negative, which is why it's still somewhat high in the low parts of the list, but it's not a good thing. It's still why it's at the lower half of the list, so it's not a bad location. It's fine, but it is the worst fine location in Partners in Time to me. The Koopaseum. So the Koopaseum is like 4 to 5 minutes long, and it's number 11 on the list. But to be fair, I really don't have any problems with this place, aside from the fact that I really wish it was longer, because the things that we do here are fun. I mean, you get to use the Bros Ball a decent amount, which is fun to use, and the music is just very nice to listen to. So, in general, I think this place is just overall pretty good. I just wish it was longer, and because it's not that long, it is a bit disappointing that it just doesn't last that long. I just wanted more from this place, and it's why it's only number 11 on this list. So, at the end of the day, it's a fine location. There's not really any problems with it, but I was just left a bit unfulfilled, and that's why it's only number 11. Vim Factory. So this place is very weird to me because I think objectively it is a good location, but I don't know, I just don't really care about it too much. I think Vim Factory has good music and good enemies, and I think the bosses here are good enough. There's 2 bosses here, which is nice, but that's really it. What else is there? I mean, I guess the soft lock here is annoying with the hammer tutorial. I do want to mention that the tutorials here are not bad, which is a good thing. And, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's it. There really isn't anything else here. I mean, you get the hammers. That's it. I mean, Vim Factory is definitely a basic last location in a time hole, but it's not a bad location at all. It's just fine. It's very solid. So at the end of the day, this place works. But since there's really nothing stellar about it, it only deserves to be number 10. Gritzy Caves. So Gritzy Caves is a good place. I think there's definitely some good stuff in here, but I'm not gonna lie, there is definitely some things that hold it back, and it's 2 main things that actually do bother me a bit. It's the theme and how the place looks. I think the place looks very generic and boring, but the theme is the biggest problem in my opinion. It's just the underground theme in normal Mario games, but this theme isn't even original to Gritzy Caves. It's also used in the sewer for Princess Peach's castle, and it honestly fits better there than it does in Gritzy Caves. I just kind of wish that there was a unique theme here. It definitely would make the place a bit more memorable, but it isn't. At the very least, this place does have good enemies, because when I think of this place, I just think of fighting enemies and nothing else, which isn't a good thing, but at the very least, the enemies are good here, which is nice. And I do like the minigames here. They use the Bros Ball, and I think the Bros Ball is really fun. Overall, I think there needed to be more done in Gritzy Caves, and it is a bit disappointing what we got, but at the end of the day, it's not a bad location either, and it's why it deserves to be number 9. Star Hill. So I'm glad that I separated Star Shrine from Star Hill, because Star Hill itself is fine enough, while Star Shrine is way better than Star Hill. And to be honest, I probably should have originally, because it has a different music theme and it looks different. Star Shrine's much more colorful. But Star Hill itself is good. I really like the enemies here. That's probably the best thing about it. I think the theme is okay enough. Commander Shroob is here, which is a good thing. This place is just really small though, so I don't know, it doesn't really have that much to it, but the reason why it is above Gritzy Caves is because while Gritzy Caves does have the mini games, in my opinion, I think that the enemies from Star Hill compensate that, and actually does better for me personally than the mini games from Gritzy Caves. I think the Wall Master Hands are really good in my opinion, and I think the Soul Bubbles and the Fly Guys are also good as well. The enemies are great, and that's really the only thing that really shines for Star Hill, and at the end of the day, that's not really a bad thing. This place is a transition to Star Shrine, and I think in that regard, it works, and it's why it's number 9. Oh wait, no, it's number 8. Yoshi's Island. So this was very borderline not being in the top 7, the great areas and partners in time, but I think it definitely deserves to be here because it has Yub. Okay, there also is other reasons than just Yub. I think the only problem I really have with this place is that I think both of the themes are only okay. They aren't bad though, they fit pretty well. I just don't really prefer them to other themes like Thwomp Volcano or Toad Town. So I think that they're just great areas in general. I think the block puzzle is pretty good, where you have to hit the item blocks to summon platforms. I think it's fun to do. I think the water spit ability was used well here. I like using the spin jump. I think the enemies were pretty good, and overall, that's really all you need for an area to be good. I think Kamek was a good threat, and obviously, Yub was a good threat as well. And also, the Kamek fight was, I think it fit for this area, and that's really all I'm going to be talking about, because the boss itself I'm not including for this list. But Kamek fit for this area a decent amount, because you saw him getting chased by Yub, you saw him just randomly chilling out, just looking for Yoshi cookies, and also that cutscene with the Yoshi cookies was good. And at the end of the day, everything here works. Again, it is a bit borderline to be in the gray areas, but I do think it deserves to be this high in the list. Yub's Belly. Now, am I putting Yub's Belly this high because I like Yub? Yes. But it is also because this area is just so unique compared to every other area on Partners in Time. I mean, you're inside a giant Yoshi. What do you expect? I mean, there's literally an egg factory in the bottom part of Yub. It's so odd, but that's what I really do like about this place. I think the enemies are pretty good. The light blue Shroobs are really good, the dry bones and the bull guys are cool as well. I mean, at the end of the day, this place is great. There's also Sunnyside, there's Toadbert here. Saving the Yoshis is interesting to do, and it's just really fun. Everything else here is just a very fun experience, and I mean, the place just shines on being so weird. I think the theme fits really well as well. So at the end of the day, this place is really good, and it definitely deserves to be number 6, but this place is just, it's just so weird. Thwomp Volcano. Now, Thwomp Volcano is one of my favorite locations in this game. We're at the top 5. These top 5 locations are phenomenal. I love all 5 of them. They're great. Thwomp Volcano, I love everything about it. I mean, I love that you get to visit past Egata. I love that the volcano erupts. I really like the enemies of this place. I really like the use of new abilities, both the baby cakes and the baby spin. I think that's what it's called. And I really like the theme. That's one of my favorite parts. I love the theme. It's just really fun to listen to. I love how big this place is. You have to go through a lot of it, and I think all of it is very fun. Again, I love everything about Thwomp Volcano. A lot of it is just very fun. It's a very basic area that you don't do much in, which is why it's only number 5. But at the end of the day, this is a great location that does have a bit of twist, again, with Professor Egad in the past. I think that him in the future sending a water machine to put out that volcano was a very unique idea, and it was a very good moment from this game. At the end of the day, Thwomp Volcano is great, and it definitely deserves to be number 5. It deserves to be this high. Shroob Castle. So I already talked about this location in my final area ranking that I did a week ago, and my opinion obviously hasn't changed from a week ago, and to be honest, I'm really only going to mention some things that you said about Shroob Castle, and at the end of the day, Shroob Castle, people said that the theme was bad. Fair enough, it's not the worst thing in the world for me personally. I dislike Baby Bowser's Castle more, but I guess it could sound better, but I think it fits really well in my opinion. I mean, a lot of people still think that the place is very long and it drags out. Personally, I don't think it drags out, but I did say that this feels like the longest location, or the longest final area, which, that's true. Honestly, I think Peach's Castle from Bowser's Inside Story is longer, but this one feels the longest, which is definitely not great, and probably why it's number 4. But at the end of the day, this is Peach's Castle from the past. This used to be Peach's Castle, but not anymore. This has been Shroobified, and it's just really creepy to look at. And that's the thing that really shines for me at this place. I really like it because of that. And at the end of the day, that's really what shines. It's why I love this place so much. It's at number 4 for a reason. I love everything else about this place. Toad Town. One of the main reasons I am really glad I replayed Partners in Time a little while ago is because I wanted to see if Toad Town still held up. And as you can see by this placement, it absolutely did. This place is the most depressing place in Partners in Time, in my opinion. One of the most depressing places in the Mario RPGs in general. I mean, the music is just so depressing, and it sounds just as good as I thought it would be. And also, the place itself is just completely destroyed. I said for Shroob Castle was Shroobified, but this place, it isn't even Shroobified. It's just completely destroyed, and almost everybody's killed. It's ridiculous. There's only 2 toads that are alive, and they're the shopkeepers. And they're just shocked to see people in general. It's just really sad to see. I really like the enemies here. I think they're all really fun to fight. And one of my favorite things is that they separate the Mario Bros and the babies. And yes, I did complain about this with Gritzy Desert, but for Toad Town, you're forced to fight these enemies. You can't actually fight them all with both Mario and Luigi and the babies. You can't. There's bars blocking you going into the baby section. Because of this, you're actually forced to fight all the enemies as you like killing every single one. And it's actually more difficult than normal, which I do like that challenge. And this is why I still love Toad Town. Every single minute I'm going through this place, I'm just filled with enjoyment, and I'm surprised that it held up this well. It's not number 1 because I do wish it was longer, but at the end of the day, if that's the only complaint I have, it just shows how great this place actually is. Definitely deserves to be number 3. Thwomp Caverns. So I have a story for you guys. I was originally going to put Thwomp Caverns at number 1 until I realized that I think that this place isn't number 1 worthy, and the actual number 1 spot now definitely deserves to be there. But Thwomp Caverns is definitely a great place, don't get me wrong. I mean, I think the mini games are great, I really like the theme, and I think this place looks pretty cool, and I like what you do here. You have to travel down with a thwomp, but there's blocks in the way, so it's pretty cool to get rid of them, and I think that just in general, platforming is pretty nice. The only thing that I don't really care about in this place is I think some of the enemies are not great, and it's really the only thing that decided it. I mean, I like this place a lot, but the stupid gold chameleons that run away are so stupid, and they are the reason that this place is not number 1. They're very infuriating, and I know it's something that's so small, but that little small thing is the reason it's not number 1. This is a great place, but if that enemy wasn't there, I think this would be number 1. Number 2, though, is still a very high place. Star Shrine. Star Shrine is my favorite location in Partners in Time, and again, I did an emergency switch to put this at number 1 because I loved this place, and I didn't realize how much I loved it until I started talking about it. It definitely deserves to be number 1. I mean, this place is the most beautiful place in Partners in Time. It's super colorful, and the background is just gorgeous. I love the theme of the place. It fits extremely well, and it sounds amazing. The enemies here are probably one of the best parts about it. The enemies are really difficult, which is a good thing. There's a difficulty spike once you're getting into Star Shrine, which is a good thing for someone who's really good at this game. There's obviously the piranhas that are in pipes that look really weird, but they're really difficult to fight. The Master Hands are still really fun. The Fly Guys are more difficult. And you got the Thwomp Volcano Block Guys that are back. And again, they're really fun to fight. At the end of the day, this place is great, but what you do here is even better. You have to get the Aurora block for the Stargate, you have to make a platform out of light, which is really cool, has a really good puzzle for that, and you have to get to the Elder Shrooboid, which actually reveals some really good story stuff, like the drawing, which I thought was a really good moment. At the end of the day, Star Shrine is phenomenal, and I really cannot point out a bad thing about it, and it is why it's my favorite location in Partners in Time. Thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like on it. I really appreciate that. Make sure to check out my podcast, The Flatmates. I'll have it on the screen, and I'll have it in the description below. And make sure to subscribe if you last this long. I really appreciate that. But other than that, G-bye.